What's up, traders? My name is Austin Silver.
My name's Ryan.
And my name is Alex.
Welcome back. We appreciate you guys being here with us. We're going to get right into today's trade recap. We're talking about GBPJPY. And I know a lot of you have probably seen the recap Ryan and I did recently on EuroJPY. And today's trade is going to follow that very, very similarly. So we're going to talk about the system and we're going to talk about how, as a team, we were really able to work together to find confidence in this trade. But before we get into how the trade developed, as you guys can see on the screen in front of you, we've actually what would you call that? Rewinded? Yeah, there's my intelligence showing. We rewound the chart all the way back to about 2 o'clock in the morning New York time. So Alex, do you want to walk us through what you saw here at GBPJPY at this time? Because Alex was the first one in this trade this morning. Ryan and I joined him later in the day. So Alex, what did you see here that really got you interested?
Definitely. So pretty much throughout the change of day, right as the Asian session opened up, I noticed right when I got to the charts around 2 a.m. that just the EMAs itself were in an uptrend. And when I'm going through my watch list, I kind of click through all the pairs to see which ones has the best looking liquid 50 as well as the best looking EMAs. And GJ was one that pretty much fit the bill. Now, the extra kicker here for me to start looking for an entry was the fact that when I was looking at the chart, I saw that price was exactly at the 50 EMA. Now, the 50 EMA is a level that we look for entry signals on. So that got me really interested. Now, when I was looking at it, I knew that the pair definitely wasn't perfect. The first thing that you would notice on the 15-minute chart is that it is divergent up top. So you have bearish divergence, and it came from an overbought level, which could pretty much signal a reversal. So that was definitely a knock, which made it not perfect to me. But the liquid 50 and the EMAs kept me long bias when looking for a play off the 50 EMA.
That makes sense. Ryan, were you up at this time looking at trades, or where were you? You were sleeping too, right?
Yeah, since I'm in Las Vegas Pacific Standard Time, I didn't get up until I have my alarm at 1:55. So at 1:55, I checked the charts to see if there's anything good. I went through my checklist and then I came across GJ, but I was asleep at this time.
Yeah, so I couldn't really sleep at night, so I kind of just woke up and just decided to go on the charts. I usually try not to trade like in that Asian range though, being that it was still early and London hadn't opened, but I couldn't really stay away from it just because it looked really good. And yeah, I was just waiting for like a D1 signal to pretty much present off of it or something like that.
That makes sense. When you got in this morning, how tight was your original stop, Alex?
The way I actually entered this trade, I actually had the mindset of being like a little late, pretty much, like I wanted to be 100% sure. So when I took my entry, I didn't take it at the initial break of the 50 EMA because as we see from time and time again, that after that initial break, there's a very good chance that if the liquid 50 isn't in the zone you're looking to trade in, there's a chance that it could pull back on you and it could just be like a false breakout. So what I did was I waited for the 50 EMA break as well as the 200 EMA break on top, and I waited for the liquid 50 to pull into the sell zone. Now, being that I was a little bit late, I did have a bigger stop. So I did end up with a 30 pip stop, and my initial TP was pretty much ADR or the div line at first. But when I saw the pair start moving, I was able to adjust my TP so that I could target ADR just based on how the pair was moving.
That makes sense. So as that developed and it pulled back actually after moving higher for you, it kind of retested the high set during the Asian session initially. What happened here during that pullback? Did you get stopped, or was your stop safe during this pullback here, you can see?
I was very fortunate enough to be safe in my position. I did have a 30 pip stop, and then when I checked the lowest candle when it did pull back on me, it literally missed my stop by 2 pips. And I was actually very fortunate that spreads didn't trigger me out. And to be honest, when I was in this trade and I started seeing it pull back on me, I had to actually physically click off of the chart to kind of keep my emotions in check, because if I stayed in it, like if I kept looking at it, there was a very good chance that I would try and close the position out early to try and save a little bit of money. But that's something that I've been practicing a lot lately, is just like when I'm in my positions, that's it. I'm like in my positions. It's either it's going to stop out, break even, or hit take profits.
That makes sense. I mean, when you were in this trade and you saw these 3 pins, had you not clicked off the chart, do you think you would have pulled the trade out early?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Out of pure fear. And that's something that I'm trying to like actively work on.
Yeah, and pulling yourself away from it at that point says, let the system do what the system is meant to do. Like, that's not really what you're trying to control. So I think that shows experience. Now, as the morning developed, now we're getting into that 5 o'clock New York time, 6 o'clock New York time. This is where, Ryan, you started to look at the trade, right?
Yeah, like I said, I just went down my list. Of course, Euro today was a bank holiday, so I didn't expect much out of it. But when I came across GJ, I saw it right at the 50, hold the 50. There's no candle break through the 50 EMA. That was the first thing that I liked about it, right? Which, I mean, I didn't get to GBPUSD, but I know a couple of people traded it the same way we traded GJ. But I like how there was no candle through the 50 EMA, and holding it was great. If you go look at the divergence line on the 1 minute, it came, that last retest of the 50 or the 800 EMA came right to the divergence line and pretty much set a new low a day, right there at about 5 o'clock.
Right here.
Oh, that's actually amazing. Just a quick
And there's
question
more
with that.
divergence at that low too.
Yeah. Just a quick question with that, Ryan. So
Yeah.
when you were looking at this divergence, where you plotted the divergence low at 23.37, I'm guessing, right? And then you're saying that that last pin down actually retested right perfectly off of that div line on the RSI.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing. I didn't notice that, to be honest.
Yeah, if
That's
you draw it all the way through from before,
Yeah.
that pin right there at like 4:45, sorry, like 4:15, 4:20 comes
Yeah,
right
you're
to
right.
it.
Yep, it comes right to it. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Structure. Yeah, right, exactly like that.
Interesting. Now, I want to throw another question at you, Ryan, specifically. On the 15-minute, when you're looking at a setup like this, break it down for me, and because I think we see it the same way, but I want to make sure. When you draw your divergence, now, Alex, I know you're already in the trade. You're going for ADR, like you said. So you're looking for this thing, and I'll put the ADR on as well. But when you draw that divergence and you see that technically in the way of this going to ADR, which is up here, right? What do you think to yourself as the divergence is present? Do you think, oh, I'm not going to trade this, or do you use that as a level to trade to?
I definitely think it's a level to trade to. I get it, the divergence is there. Now, another thing that I noticed is that the RSI retested the divergence line, so I kept a real close eye on it. But as it basically, well, it did break through it. But when it comes to price action, I'm looking at that as a level.
That makes sense. What about you, Alex?
100%. I agree with Ryan completely. To me, divergence doesn't automatically mean like stay out of it. Can you find a better trade? Of course, but if the R&R is there, eat just to the divergence line, I think it makes it worth it, because we know that divergence can keep building over time, and it doesn't have to signal a reversal right off the bat. The way I was looking at this trade, even though we did have that divergence on top, I have this mindset that I want to try and trade with the trend first. And if I get stopped out, then I get a signal that it's going to reverse. Then I'll look for a counter trend play. But I think it's always the safest play to try and trade with the trend first, as opposed to trying to plot a counter trend right off the bat.
100%.
Totally agree. Even just because we know how powerful these trends can be and how many times we've seen divergence build and build and build and build. And you don't want to miss trade opportunities within that. So
Exactly.
when we have setups like this that are across the board, basically everybody is in the same boat in the VIP chat. Everybody knows we're trying to buy GJ. I found myself this morning waiting a little bit longer and actually taking a later entry. I waited until the TDI really locked in the divergence off the low at 4:30 because I got up at around 5 o'clock. So I was looking after the fact here. And I could have jumped in it here as it started to break back through. And that was like where most people, I think, got interested, because the TDI started to pull up, and that was where you could see it. I was just really trying to be patient, and I waited. After this retest, when it clearly could not hold the level here and it was making higher lows off the structure that we had divergence off of down here, that's when I was like, all right, I'm looking for something in here. My stop is going to be somewhere down here, and that's what I was looking to take advantage of. And what was really solid about this was the TDI on the 1 minute. Look at that L50, just holding the buy zone, holding the buy zone. But what I don't want to say struggle is not the right word. What really I think kind of ruined it for me almost today was just the way that I have it built into my plan to manage these C setups. Because if you watch this 1 minute, you're going to see here, it comes right down to the 200 EMA and ends up holding that 200. It's where I got stopped in profit, and then it moves off that all day right from here. Right as that L50 starts to come down into the sell zone on the 1 minute, you could see it. price will start to pull above the 50, and then this thing just picked up and never came back.
Definitely. Well, my thoughts on that is I don't think you were wrong in managing it the way you did, because it could have easily played out the complete opposite from the way it played out today. So yeah, those C setups, more often than not, you do want tight management on them. So I think you did a really good job by making sure that your trade was blue at the end of the day as opposed to being red.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing that I want to point out too that we didn't really talk about in the VIP chat was just this slight bearish divergence that was present here, right? So in a C setup, that was right at my 1R level. Of course, I'm seeing this divergent. I'm at 1R on a C setup. I'm moving the stop no matter what. And look at that. Literally pins me, and then it moves off of it all day long. But like you said, this is a good example for me to try to be the guy with 5 years of experience and say, look, as beautiful as this is that it takes off and goes in my direction, there are many C setups that will come, like you just said, right down through that and drop all day and fall off the face of the earth. And you don't want to lose a C setup. Like, how much does that suck, Ryan? I know you and I have had many conversations about that. When you're up on a C setup and then you give back money, it sucks.
Absolutely. Now, I very rarely give money back on the existing entry. Where I generally give up money is on re-entries, trying to buy it back. Now, where I tend to be a little bit more flexible is, if you can go back to the 1 minute here real quick, is that I didn't have my stop immediately at like my entry or a couple pips of profit. I tend to adjust my stop loss. I definitely manage it very tightly, but I go more to levels. So what I mean by that is, after that second retest of the 800, right, and it moved back up, now it reestablished that next low at about 715, 720. I moved my stop up to there. Now, as it broke up to where it set that divergence, as it broke, it kept making higher highs. I actually set my stop loss right to where the 200 is. That next level of the 200 right there. That's where I had my stop. So I was safe. I came in within 4 pips of getting stopped.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a 37 and it comes down to 40.
Exactly, but considering I had already taken some off, I still couldn't have lost throughout the day. Yeah, had that position got stopped a couple pips under profit, yeah, that would have been a loss for 2-3 pips. But regardless, I'm still blue for the day. That's why I like to adjust it more on levels rather than I'm up, I'm going to set my stop loss in profit, disregarding the levels. And I think that's why I was able to stay safe and manage to get 58 pips out of it.
No, I know, and I think that makes total sense. I want to actually kind of backtrack real quick, too, to what Alex mentioned about the higher time frame bias. Some people in the chat this morning were a little bit confused on the higher time frame. So if we were just looking at the 1 hour here, maybe you can give some insight to this, Alex. But for me, I saw this as very much so today long biased, with the EMAs coming into what looked like an uptrend, TDI in the buy zone. But what do you think?
Definitely. So just basing off the indicators, it's definitely long bias. Now, where I see some people might get confused is that 800 EMA, right? If you're looking at the 1 hour. So what I do like to do from time to time is I kind of like to just clear out that 800 EMA. So if you take the 800 off, right, and just leave even like just the 50 and the 200 up there, the 50 to 200, the 21 and the 8, you can clearly see that it is long bias regardless right there, right? Now, if you're even plotting, if you're using like basic support and resistance levels, look at the pin high on the left and draw a zone from there all the way to the right, if you could, please. So you could see a little bit lower actually. So like if you bring the top part lower, yeah, somewhere like around, if you pull that down, yep, right there. So you could see that that's roughly a zone of support and resistance. And being that you were above that level, you were pretty much looking for longs, as well as look at the 1H liquid 50. It's in the buy zone. Like, you can't fight the long bias there. Now, is it divergent? 100%. But you kind of have to, like I said, try and trade with the trend first. And if you get stopped out, then it's possible to look for a counter trend play, because then you know that something's kind of wrong if you end up getting stopped out.
And that's why you react rather than try to predict.
Exactly. Yep. So trying to predict the reversal can be a little deadly. Like I mean, everybody knows me. Like, you guys know me that I do like to trade counter trend, right? But I don't go counter trend blindly. Like, I look for signals to go in trend first, and then when they don't present, then I'll look for a counter trend play.
That makes sense. With price action too, I like to do exactly what you did, take off the higher EMAs and really just ask myself, are we outside the 8, and is the 8 above the 21? here in this situation, I mean, it's long bias from yesterday at 10 a.m. It's that simple. Like, you know, and then even if you take that to the 4 hour, look at the 4 hour. I mean, again, look at the TDI from the 26th that's been in the buy zone. If you turn off just the 200, and I honestly, when I do this, Alex, I actually turn off all three, the 50, the 200, and the 800. I turn all three off. Right here, where are we at right here? Long biased, all the way back here from the 25th. We're above the 8 and the 21. So it's like literally that simple. If the price action and the 8 and the 21 confirm the direction of the TDI, meaning buy zone or sell zone, then I have my bias. So when I looked at the 4 hour here today, I was like, okay, that's long biased. When I looked at the 1 hour, I was like, that's definitely long biased. Yeah, it's divergent for sure, but we can't say that this is the top, because if you try to do that, you end up getting your ass kicked, and look what it does to you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. It just rips
Now,
straight up.
while we're on that, if you can go back to the 4 hour real quick and just think back to, you know, price action, right? Textbook price action. Look at the level there from the 11th.
Yeah, that's a
Doesn't
zone
that
right
come
there.
up? Doesn't it retest that zone nearly perfectly?
Yeah, 100%.
If you draw the box, it comes right to it, and that's where
Yep.
it takes off from.
Yep, pretty much.
Textbook price action.
Yeah, that's a good call. Absolutely. So I guess to kind of keep us on track with the point of the video, everybody in the group this morning was able to see the long potential here. And not only here, I want to just for a quick second bring up, like you said already, the GBP USD, right? This was a little bit later. This is 9:30. Look at that, 80 pips off the A1, okay? Here, you also could look at NZD JPY, here trading into the divergence, another JPY quote pair. This goes 5R, 10 pip stop, it goes 55 pips from the breakout. And then the same thing on NZD CHF, 930, good looking TDI into divergence, but it rips right through it, 5R. So there was a lot of GBP movement today and a lot of NZD movement, and that has to go back to what you said, Ryan, about the bank holiday. Yeah, the Euro pairs moved. Look at EuroCAD, it's tanking. And of course, you can jump in and make money in that. But when we talk about rules, we talk about A setups, B setups, C setups, you have to keep those bank holidays in mind. So if you had made money on a Euro pair today, I would question you, because there was easy money to be made on GBP pairs that kept you away from trading during a bank holiday. And I think that's always a higher probability trade to take. Don't you guys think?
Definitely, 100% agree. And if you even look at all the other Euro pairs, I don't think a lot of them moved besides Euro CAD. And I think that's because CAD had news today that was kind of like the catalyst. If you look at Euro USD, kind of just like chopped around. Because I was looking at that too, because I like trading Euro USD. But look how ugly that is today. There's like no direction in that. Yeah.
And then, so what we do is you just, like Ryan did it well, you turn and you go find where the money is. Look at that is beautiful structure on GBPJPY. And for those of you that haven't seen Ryan and I's video on Euro JPY, I highly recommend you go check it out. We'll make sure to link it down below, because literally just to show you the repeatable process of a D1 pattern. You're going to see it on 2 different pairs, 2 separate weeks, and it's almost identical, the setups that we just described. So
Definitely.
Here, I have to always end the video and kind of make sure I drive home that I appreciate you guys so much, Alex and Ryan and everybody else in our VIP chat, because without you guys, I wouldn't have so many smart traders to bounce my ideas off of, and I also wouldn't have smart traders giving me great trade ideas like you guys do.
No, thank you. Of course, you know, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am today without the knowledge that you've given and taken years to develop and refine. Come a long way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
My bad. I was gonna say that I think it's important to follow your rules as quickly as best as you can. You know, honestly, when it comes to GU, you're gonna have to fight me that being a shift candle, because it's odd. It's like the shift happens somewhere in the middle and then it push off. Anyways, that I think that just because a trade setup works and you'll always hear me say this, just because an idea works does not mean it's a good setup. And GJ wasn't the best idea, but honestly, for a Monday, it was an exceptional Monday that it happened to work out well, as you saw with all the JPY quote pairs. They all worked out, powered through divergence. Today was an exceptional Monday, and again, just to power through that, just because an idea worked out does not mean it's a good setup, but we're still able to take advantage of these not great setups.
Oh, yeah, for me, I really want to drill home what, just kind of piggybacking off of what Ryan said about sticking to your rules. And sticking to your rules doesn't just tie to, taking the best setups. It also means that you're sticking to your rules when it comes to your stop losses and your take profits. Now, I know some people are going to struggle when they start seeing drawdown, and I know I do too, and I'm guilty of, closing certain positions, even though they haven't even hit stop loss. So having that discipline there to either take the stop or take your profit or take your break even, that's a very good trait to have, because that kind of exercises discipline. And if you ever find yourself trying to get out of a trade, even if it hasn't hit your stop loss, then I think you kind of have to reassess your risk management, because if you're not willing to take that stop loss, that means you weren't willing to take the initial risk, So I do want to drill that home. Trust your stop losses, because this is actually twice already in the past 2 weeks where drawdown has tested me very emotionally. Last week it was with EU, if you guys remember. I was literally probably like 2 pips away, the same, like literally 2 pips away from stop loss. And I had to click off my chart to just trust it and let it do its thing. We have a system in place. The Asfx strategy is very good. And these stop losses, they're not arbitrary. They come from a statistical standpoint, so you just have to trust them.
Yeah. And I feel like my only contribution to that, to not beat the horse dead, is just add what I said in the chat today, which is when everybody's killing it and the team is doing well and everybody in the VIP chat is making money in GJ and GU and everybody feels good, I want to feel the highs. I want everybody to ride the high for a second, but I don't want to linger on it. As big of a trade this was, as exceptional of a Monday this was, throw it out the window when we show up tomorrow morning. It's just a new day. It's another day, and we just need to show up and do it again. So we want to feel the highs for a second, just like we want to feel the lows for a second. And like you said, Ryan, this is a great Monday, and it's partially, if not in all, thanks to you and Alex. So I think we definitely want to feel that high. We definitely want to feel that teamwork. But like I said, tomorrow we come back, it's like it never happened. Just one good trade at a time. The outcome's really, it's great. It's fantastic. 3% on a Monday, 5% on a Monday. Dale's up 9% on Monday off 2 trades. I'm like, this is fantastic.
He doesn't even have to trade anymore.
I know. Now we need to keep it. This is the hardest part. Everybody gets too happy. They get too high on it. We got to keep it in. Keep it tight to the rules, like you guys said. So, yeah, I appreciate that you guys took the time to do this with me. I'm sure the YouTube community does. So I think we can wrap it here. YouTube guys, if you find any value, drop a comment down below. Make sure you connect with us. We'll put all of our social links in the description of this video. And if there's any questions, or if you want us to cover anything in particular, like if you want us all to get on and do a Bitcoin video or a gold video, let us know. I'm sure we're more than happy to make that happen for you guys. So Alex, Ryan, thank you guys. We'll do it again soon.
Boom.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Let's do it.